and welcome to ACGP episode 3. Nice and rhyming. Now, just pop you through the team news real quick before we get into the Australian Grand Prix. First and foremost, I've signed an affiliate driver for next year because can't be bothered to buy a buyout fee even if it is 200 grand. Welcome, Abby Pulling. Effectively, I'm trying to do a fleet of British drivers in the affiliate program, and I'm starting with her. Taylor Barnard's being scouted now, and I'll likely just sign them straight up because they're not attached to anyone. As you can see here, obviously he's got a team now, but he's not affiliate for anyone else. As for these two and their absurd salaries, I think the sensible thing to do, because it is a problem that Frontier have acknowledged, so I think the sensible thing to do is just edit their salaries to a sensible level, because they are dumb. Now for him, obviously right now the sensible thing to do would actually just be terminate his contract rather than pay 5 million for the rest of this year. But I think the sensible thing to actually do would be just edit it to like say 500,000, which is what Abby Pulling just agreed. So something like that anyway, maybe a little bit higher. And yeah, I've made a change. I figured I would be alright to do this one because we've only done 2 Grand Prix so far. Turns out Matthew Ogle was Zane Maloney's race engineer, so I've swapped them. 50-50 decisions I will always get wrong. No matter where they lie in life, I will always get a 50-50 wrong. It is quite incredible. If anything, this actually technically hindered me because Stuart King was higher rated. But it's better for Zane, and that's what we're doing, because that was the intention. Now, I wanted to pair them with their actual race engineers as I struggled over in the actual process of creating the team. So, you know, I'm not done that for any other reason than that. You know, that's a legitimate reason behind that. I hope I'm alright to do that one. But that's it. Slight tweak to the logo just to make it a little bit smaller to fit in with everyone else's, and that is it for news. Oh, the front and rear wing are developed. I can only create one of them though, because the factory space only allows me to create 2 things at any given time, and because they keep breaking chassis, I'm having to build chassis. So I can only create the front wing or the rear wing. I believe I've started work on the rear wing. But again, that's a 50-50. I probably got it wrong. We'll stick with the 2021, respectively, and I will see you for qualifying.
It's wonderful to be back down under for the Australian Grand Prix. We're a stone's throw from the beach here at the Albert Park circuit. It might be party mood in the grandstands, but in the paddock, expectations and tensions are high.
Red Bull have outscored their rivals to be at the top of the constructors' table right now. But at just the 3rd round of this year, the title could be anyone's.
Let's see then how the weekend unfolds.
Well, our little representative run at the end of practice 3 has yielded promising results. Alexander Albon has the penalty. Daniel Ricciardo's obviously carries over from the incident he caused last time out. I believe he took Albon out, so that might be parts replacing, but it's way too early in the season to be able to use that many engine parts. I don't know what that's for. No issues though. It's the usual plan for our drivers. This is the first time you'll be seeing the cars in the sunlight. Of course, there are practice sessions even for the night racers in daytime, but this is the first time it's being recorded around the corners of Albert Park. Of course, yeah, the new fast layout, 4 DRS zones, 2 double DRS zones, only 2 detection points, but that can be a benefit. Sometimes you can get the overtake done on the main straight and then just pull away on what is technically the 2nd DRS zone. Historically less easy to overtake on the curving straight. Normally you get the double DRS and then overtake into the corner that Mick is approaching now and rounding without any incidents. But we'll let our drivers do these 2 flying laps and see where that puts them. That time the 2nd flying lap made a huge difference. Within half a second of Hamilton, they did jump from about 1.2 and behind to where they are now, so 5 and 7th, 10th respectively. Hamilton actually faster than Verstappen is alarming for our drivers here, because I'm pretty certain there's no way in hell we're going to go faster even on a manual run at the end here, seemingly having the tyres warmed up by the end of the lap, particularly potent here. Okay, so some very fast times being done by the McLarens now. Oh, some second runs going a lot quicker here. Ricciardo popping it into 8. So maybe the track evolution is happening. It's 1:16 for Norris, so 1:17 for us probably, as it was. So Verstappen crosses the line and goes fastest overall. So there is evolution here. But we need about two minutes to get round. Yeah, the Haas is just going now, but 2 minutes on manual will be probably more than enough. Track is 31 degrees. We'll see how the tyre evolution happens through sector 1 here. We are now hindering a Williams car, which isn't helpful. Yeah, For some reason, as soon as you go manual, you no longer behave like a car that needs to be overtaken. Yeah, that is blocking. Brief yellow flag there from Magnussen in turn 3. Think we started pushing this a little too late, if I'm honest. All right, so we'll go on board with Maloney here. Tyres have actually just got 2 temperature, which is nice. There moves the Williams that we utterly ruined the chances of. Out of curiosity. Oh no, it was Albon. Sargent's not even running right now. Ferrari moves out of the way nicely for Zane. Mick actually does go faster in Sector 1 here. Gasly, Joe, Magnussen and Sargent all done though. As is Bottas. We're fine. We actually don't need to finish this lap. I'm more willing to complete this just to see what happens, because I thought that was going to be it for Mick and Zane. I thought their second laps were so significantly better than their first that would be that. Russell's in danger here. In fact, is Russell on a flying lap? Okay, so it's only marginal gains for Mick and same for Maloney. That is an in lap for George Russell. It says his last lap was a 1:18.9. Did George get hindered, or did he just not make the line in time? I feel like that's too close to an actual flying lap time for it to be an out lap. So a shock exit for George Russell. 1:17.8 was his fastest. Both drivers safely 12th and 13th where they finished practice. This circuit may actually be more to our liking, perhaps, as a car, because the creator team cars seemingly are a little bit better in high speed than they are low speed. Across the board, no matter what setting you set at the beginning, they tend to be better at high than low. Oh, I've put Maloney out on the wrong tyres, but...
Press in button.
So Maloney's second lap there, faster than Norris and Piastri, which I have to hope is on a U set. Oh, considering we just did 2 laps with Maloney, yes, there must be U sets for all the others. Yeah, they now don't have a better tyre, so I could use Zane as a tow for Mick here. Just got to make sure I do it right. So Piastri's going again now. This would be a good indication on track evolution and maybe secondary tyres. This is his flyer. Okay, yeah, so he just got 1.2 seconds, so Maloney's now out of the top 10. Well, the tow plan went absolutely to hell, didn't it? For some reason, Maloney is about an entire sector ahead of Mick, despite the fact I only set them out about 3 seconds apart. Traffic or whatever has caused an absolute nightmare for Mick Schumacher here. In fact, I need to actually flip Zane over. He's not going to go faster. He's like 3 corners ahead of Mick. That's gone fabulously wrong. So from inside, we start Mick's flying lap at Albert Park in Q2. Maloney's got a reasonable amount to get. I need about 10th actually to get into Q3, but these are used tyres which aren't going to help him because we messed that up. A slower first sector is indicative of that. The same case might be Sector 3, where the tyres may have overheated / ERS may have run out a little bit, mixed done better, obviously on fresh tyres. That should be the case. Not always in F1 Manager, historically. Norris has finished and is 12th. He did not improve because he got stuck with Mick, I think, on his flying lap. But Ocon and Albon also confirmed worse than Maloney, so Maloney can only be at worst 13th. Hulkenberg presumably on a flyer behind? No, Hulkenberg's done as well, actually. So Maloney at worst 12th, and indeed stayed that way. Tsunoda behind might have finished or might be coming around the final corner. Mick's best lap takes him behind Maloney, remarkably. So it's 11th and 12th, because it doesn't really matter what Tsunoda does behind. You know, for a car that is supposedly 19th on the grid, that's not bad. If anything, this is going to work against us because of the confidence system. So, yay! 11th and 12th. Boo. Boo confidence system. Oh, and a penalty for Daniel Ricciardo. We will start 10th and 12th, I think. Of course, because Q3 still needed to settle itself out. Daniel Ricciardo actually only qualifies 10th in the end, so definitely will be behind Zane, Mick, and Lando, I think, if that's a 3 place.
Well, the fans here are all set, every one of them eagerly awaiting the 58 laps of today's race.
Albert Park often seems to set teammate against teammate. From Hill and Villeneuve dueling for the 1996 win, to Bottas beating fellow Mercedes driver and pole sitter Hamilton to the win in 2019.
The Albert Park circuit is bursting with rapid corners and a long straight where drivers can push their speed to the limits. Good attention to medium speed downforce will likely make beating this beast of a track just a little bit easier. Race day has arrived, and the time has almost come for these drivers to fight it out, wheel to wheel.
So, yeah, I believe F1 Manager hasn't actually managed to replicate the double length penalties that are now in real F1. The 5 seconds became a 10-second across the board, pretty much. I think all the penalties got doubled. Weirdly, it's telling my drivers to do 2 different things, which is interesting. A single stop definitely worse than a two-stop with pushing. But we do have a soft no matter what here, so that's faster than the strategy that he was told to do, which is basically what Zane's on. Intriguingly, despite the fact I've put them on exactly the same, they appear to actually have different wear rates. It doesn't actually look like the graphs take in a driver's smoothness now, which I don't think it used to. I believe the graphs used to be arbitrary, and then a driver's smoothness would take it above the predicted, essentially, or lower if they are terrible. I think the smoothness is factored in the graphs now for tyre wear, which is a very nice change if that is the case. And it is indeed 10th and 11th.
Final checks are being carried out by the teams, and it won't be long until we get this race underway. And there's always a sense of excitement when it comes to talking about Max Verstappen.
They're on pole, and it's well deserved. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do.
But there's no more time left. We've got a race on our hands. Brace yourselves for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
So our drivers effectively start side by side in 11th and 12th. Immediately, there's a horrible start from someone. Mick's up to 9th. I can see Maloney on the inside, actually, trying to do something, but he's actually gone down to 13th. And considering Maloney started ahead of Mick, that is either a bad start from Maloney or a great start from Mick. Ricardo's actually up to 10th as well. He started 13th, let's not forget. It was only a 3-place penalty in the end. Norris is down to 15th as well. Albon's penalty took him presumably towards the back. But that's a ridiculous start from Mick Schumacher. I wish I could watch that again. I mean, I can do in the edit, of course, but it happened so quickly I didn't even notice how he managed that. I can only assume it's a bad start from Alonso as well, down in 11th. And it's definitely a bad start from Norris, who would have lined up 12th on the grid behind Mick. It's a great start from Russell, who would have been... Okay, well, that's just Mick being angry, can't overtake, but it's a bad start... I think it's a good start from Russell, but he would have gained a place from Albon's penalty, I think. So he would have started 17th. He was up to 14th, but now he's back down to 50th, thanks to Norris. So they're fighting each other in 14th, 15th, which will only help everyone ahead, sorry. Two competitive cars in Norris and Russell fighting each other that far down the grid will slow their progress through the field. Mick's going for it without DRS on Tsunoda. Won't make that stick. Kind of went a bit wide there, but I think that's just graphical. Although he does have Ricciardo in his gearbox now. The home driver, one of the home drivers. How long has it been since there's been two? Obviously there were two last year as well, but how long was it before then there were two Australian drivers on the grid at the same time? Mick now inside Tsunoda again, and DRS is available. Obviously used it to get closer to Tsunoda, and now can use it to put a move on Yuki Tsunoda into 8th. Don't forget our car, 19th and 20th on the grid. In terms of performance, suddenly good. But there we are, that's that done. Tsunoda will have DRS back again, because we are separated from Stroll ahead. And we'll make it stick immediately. This is what I'm talking about. Of course, you can get the overtake done in the first sector. And now Mick won't actually have DRS for Ricciardo either, which is a huge problem. Overtaking Tsunoda was actually a bad idea. The good news, though, is Ricciardo is more than a second behind his teammate. We'll just watch the Alonso overtake on Mick. I mean, great angle there. F1 TV. I mean, at least they got that simulated accurately. That's Maloney behind, fending off Magnussen or Hülkenberg, I forget which. But that was Alonso going through Mick as well. That early goodness has immediately gone backwards as we are 4 seconds adrift of the RBs who got into the range of what is a train that starts with Piastri. Those RBs are ridiculous for some reason after lap 2. Perhaps they didn't actually push on those first 2 laps and then we did for some reason. I'm starting to think the assumption that all drivers pushed in the first 2 laps is now erroneous. But the good news is Mick can stick with Alonso, it seems like. So if there are any retirements ahead, Hülkenberg did get Maloney behind. I apparently didn't change Maloney's strategy to the soft, medium, so he is actually on a medium. So actually, realistically, Maloney, I should be pushing on a 4 here. Although I don't actually quite like, the way this is lined up. So I'm going to have to do this, aren't I? There we are. Just get a more sensible pitting lap in for Maloney. I definitely changed it. I don't know why it's changed back. Hülkenberg has damage, as Ogle literally just says right there, at the same time. He was ahead of Maloney last time round. I've missed the replay of how he managed to get that damage. So I can actually push this on 4 then. Russell now up the inside of Hülkenberg. Norris is ahead of Maloney, which will only help Zane here. I'm alright with this overtake from Lando, because it will just drag Maloney to Mick and Alonso. Yeah, nice as you like from Lando. Zane doesn't fight it too hard. Good work really, Zane, there. Didn't lose any time. That's nice. Of course, it will hurt his confidence because of course it will. But DRS will at least help fend off Russell for another lap, perhaps. Alonso and Mick are just swapping places. The Piastri train still hasn't dropped Tsunoda and Ricciardo, so annoyingly they are fast enough to stay in that. This is Russell on softs behind Zane. So not only do we have to deal with a Mercedes, we have to deal with a Mercedes on a tyre advantage as things stand. Zane does have DRS on Norris though still, which helps. Just drags that back in for... Oh, Mick's actually been dropped by Alonso now, so that's a problem. Both Maloney and Russell have DRS. Not that it matters for Russell, who makes it stick anyway and forces Maloney off the track. Don't know if that was deliberate or just graphical. I think that was just graphical. I didn't get a message saying he pushed me wide, which can happen when that happens. So I think this is just accidental. And like, it seems to be a problem with Australia where drivers just go wide and it doesn't appear to just be a problem. It's just where they go. But Russell is detached from Norris now. So Zane does get the DRS on Russell and Russell has none of his own. Hamilton now through Piastri ahead. I don't know if Piastri's got damage. I just realised I never changed the engine. So we are still using the same engine as the first two races. I've no idea how quickly those softs will go off for George, but we have managed to get him back here, which may not help in the long run. For exactly the same reason as what happened earlier with Mick, where he got overtaken by two drivers at the same time. Yeah, so this has worked out intentionally because I knew we were going to burn the tyres a little bit quicker at the beginning. That's why I put the buffer space at the end. But it's Mick now fending from Norris, whose confidence is reasonable. It's not awful. He'll go down when he gets overtaken, even though Norris is obviously inherently massively faster. But he's held him off to the point where I kind of enjoy him going past now. So, because the detection point is essentially immediately next. If Mick can stay in that would be great. Were you more... Mick?
Try and close the gap.
How have you not got DRS there? It's literally two corners. How have you lost a second? Well, there's no point trying to catch Norris now because that's not going to happen. But we'll try and chase. Maloney's fending off everyone that isn't Russell, at the very least. Hulkenberg's damage may actually be helping defend. It's a huge train behind Zane for some reason. I don't know why Zane's the cork in the bowl here. I'm just going to push the fuel. Sargent is sort of well detached for some reason to the back here, just driving around by himself. Is he on hards? No, he's on mediums. Okay, so Russell's just done to you what Norris did. Let's actually stay in touch this time, can we please, Mick? Good boy. I just wanted you to get DRS for one lap this time. If we could just hold on to that, that would be superb. All right, so now we've got the confidence problem with Maloney because he's been overtaken by several people and not defended against anyone, seemingly. Because I don't think the confidence is affecting the drivers behind, necessarily. But if they start swapping each other, that guy did get pushed right off there. That was Ocon. I think he's just taken underfloor damage as a result of that. See, that should have been a successful defend, and it's not registered. I think we just got told that Ocon had damage there for some reason. So mixed confidence is now medium, but he should, in theory, just get some laps in. Yeah, Maloney's just going backwards because we qualified too high, realistically, and now he's just being overtaken, and his confidence will never recover. The confidence system is utterly balked. Even Hulkenberg is now driving faster, even though he's on a medium with damage. Zane's doing 128s. I mean, he'll have DRS at least on Bottas, so he should get this back. He does not get it back. Just cool the tyres down a smidge here. We've got Hulkenberg overtake Schumacher, but sped things up a bit there. Zane's actually cleared Bottas, as has someone else. So Bottas has gone down 2 places, probably from being the front of the queue without DRS. The same thing that happened to Mick earlier on.
You know, I've got fast, Mike.
That's a line that doesn't make grammatical sense. Hulkenberg just did a 125.3, which is the same as Norris. Sure. But yeah, Bottas now separated. I think we've now settled into our positions, even though the confidence is, yeah, stuffed again. And now Mick's sad because he didn't make that overtake. All got overtaken, I guess. So now he's got DRS, he's taken him back. Oh, his confidence still low.
Like a couple
Yeah,
laps.
that's broken.
Soon.
Yeah, okay, Frontier, we need to sort this out, don't we? I've had a look, there's no mods for it yet, but if someone else can fix the confidence system before Frontier get to it, because I don't think it's even on their list of things to fix for this first patch, that would be great. Oh, Maloney's actually done Gasly into turn 1. I think I need to fix that sponsor logo there. 3 laps to go for Mick. Zane a little bit further off. Push him again now. He's actually dropped Gasly, remarkably. Magnussen now has a mechanical fault, apparently. So I believe next time Mick goes around, it's pit stop time. So hammer time, Mick, as it were, to borrow someone else's phrase. It's incredible that actually Ricciardo's gained an entire pit stop on Mick, essentially. He's right behind Maloney now. I think he's gone on a hard, though. So Mick peels in. I don't think a huge amount of people have actually pitted yet. Russell did, Sargent did, and Ricciardo did. as has Verstappen at the front. Oh, Perez has as well. Zhou Guanyu came in the same time as Mick. Maloney's lost 2 positions because
Second corner.
DRS is the thing.
Opens up for
Who is it? Ricardo, or who's just pitted, and Russell, who's just pitted. So, obviously, no worries there, really. That's absolutely fine. That's totally expected. Like, contextually, those are perfectly legitimate overtakes that we're not worried about at all. Oh, he has no confidence. Context matters. Let's get these up to temperature, Mick. Considering you're on 5 push when you came in, you should have been on 5 push when you came out, but never mind. I think it automatically sets it onto whatever the strategy was, which is actually kind of handy if you forget about the fact you're on 5 push when you go into the pits, and then obviously forget you're still on 5 when you leave the pits. But 10 seconds behind Ocon, it's a lot of space to just drive into here for Mick. See, Bottas has now got Maloney again because his confidence is in the toilet and he's now driving dirt slow. Could extend this, actually, until we run out of tyres, because theoretically he should actually pit next lap. I think what I'm going to do is go next lap and just go attack on these tyres. Gasly's now developed a mechanical fault. Mick only 8 seconds behind Ocon now. Don't need to push these any longer, just realised. So Maloney clears Bottas, as does Albon, but we'll get overtaken by Albon because he didn't have DRS. Bottas and Ocon pitted. Hülkenberg still has damage. The fault for Magnussen, I think it was, seems to resolve itself. Maloney, for whatever reason, can't keep up with Albon, or has just. It might just be because Albon nabbed DRS on Hülkenberg is the reason why Maloney dropped off him. Albon himself comes into the pits. I think we're going to get held for Albon. Oh no, we're just going to have a tyre problem, so that's fun. Yeah, sure, whatever. Just can't get it on. Such a slow resolve as well. Like, even that kind of issue is only like 2 or 3 seconds usually. Took 5 more seconds. Oh, we actually nearly overcut Gasly, considering we got past him before they pitted. We actually nearly overcut him. No, we're 2.5 behind. Has Hülkenberg pitted? No. So Mick's kind of running all right now. So if he can just get some consistent laps in. Is Mick getting lapped? What's going on here? Why is he losing so much time to the drivers ahead? Hello, we've had an overtake though at last. About to be lapped in the background there. That's Max Verstappen. Zayn actually gets a place. Takes Zhou Guanyu whilst all of them had DRS. Might be just worth watching them then. Alonso pits, presumably well out of the range of anyone. Actually though, considering he kind of was fighting Mick a long time ago. No, he's already well outside the range. 9 seconds behind Mick again. You know what, 9 seconds behind Alonso isn't awful, considering. Points are a pie drew. Let's not forget again, we still are the 19th/20th fastest car. We can make it work on a 1-lap basis, it seems, but Maloney's making overtakes. I did kind of zone out for a second there. Maloney is making overtakes. I was trying to focus on Mick's situation as the, the further advanced driver, but I believe he's also taken the Alpine of Gasly and gapped him as well. Now he's got to let Max Verstappen through, though. That's quite a slow exit thanks to the lapping, which might give Gasly a interest moment there. Just on the vain off chance you can grab DRS off the Red Bull. No, we didn't. Okay. Okay, so we are 1 lap down with Zayn Maloney, which, if I remember rightly, was 1.8. So we don't need to worry about fuel, really, with Zayn. Mick is only... Oh, yeah. Max is just behind Bottas, so I would say 5 seconds. So I think we're fine with fuel on both of them. We'll leave it as like a -1 to feel safe, considering it was a, roughly a 1.8 kilogram per lap situation. Bottas is going to get compromised here, I think, because he's going to get lapped on the corner. Is Maloney gaining on Hülkenberg? Ocon, with damage, is still going faster than Gasly with mechanical. He's got through him, his teammate. Whatever Hülkenberg and Ocon's damage is clearly negligible because it's not holding either of them up. Right, so that should be a confidence boost for Maloney because he successfully defended against Ocon there. And yet, nothing. He's back into medium, though, at least, so he's average. But he will get overtaken here, so that will take him back down to low. Oh, no. Is that a successful defend again? It's another successful defend, and then a failure. Oh, no. That's 2 successful defends. He's got the last one. Look at the confidence gain there. Literally like a millimetre. That was the neatest overtake lapping I've seen in a long while. He's immediately been dropped, though, I think. So it'd be lovely if he got DRS here. Oh, that's a yellow flag. But for whom? Okay, this is good news.
Here we at turn 12.
Yeah, Ocon just goes well wide. Slams himself almost directly into Gasly, who's trying to be lapped by the Ferrari. That's absolute carnage in terms of blue flags. But crucially, it has put a huge gap between Maloney and the cars behind him. And he's now on medium confidence. So, as is Mick, both drivers now back to being vaguely average in terms of their overall pace. Bottas is within 2 seconds of Mick, which I don't enjoy, with marginally better tyres. Like, not so great that it really matters at all, but Maloney is on soft tyres when everyone else around him is on hards, which is kind of depressing when you consider how much faster they actually are going than him. What's happened here? I was too focused on the gap behind Maloney that I wasn't paying attention to the gap in front of him. Round the outside of Hulkenberg he goes. There's the Ferrari ahead. Oh, I see what's happened. Sainz and Perez came through both Maloney and Hulkenberg, and then that forced Hulkenberg into Maloney, it seems like. I think they're both about to be lapped by another Ferrari, though. Oh, no, that's already occurred. So Hulkenberg's going to get him back, I think. Oh, he just pushed him into the grass there. So that's presumably put his confidence down. Yep. Even though he made the overtake before that and now has been re-overtaken, his confidence is now deceased. And he's 1.4 seconds behind all of a sudden, presumably because of those negative modifiers. Yeah, he's just been utterly dropped. And now Ocon's in range. And past him and just driven straight through him. For some reason it didn't trigger his optimal pit lap there. Hulkenberg and Albon are just rocket ships for some reason right now. I believe optimal pit stop for Mick is next lap. That one actually did tell me. But he is being lapped by a McLaren at a very awkward time. Did you have DRS off the car in front before that, Mick? No. Oh, yes. Okay, so that's going to help. So Maloney's come out behind a hard-running Sargent who had DRS off the car that lapped him and has now driven away from him. 34% hard Sargent is on and for some reason has pulled away from Maloney on brand new mediums. He's got him back again, but please have no problems here, Mick. Okay, as smooth as we're going to get at 2.9. Ooh, that's a very bad world we're in there, but it is a 4 push for Mick the entire way. Confidence is apparently high, just tipped into it, so that's good, but about to be lapped. I don't know if that's going to affect him. No, okay. Please tell me that's Hamilton. Okay, that's good. At least it's not Russell, who he was fighting at one point, because that would be depressing. Now, Maloney, I believe that's Max Verstappen back there, so I don't think we're looking at a second lap. Maloney's only just overtaken Sargent. Oh, come on, Zane. He's on 30% hards. / come on, Frontier. He's on 30% hards. He should be about 4 seconds slower. Okay, he's got 2 lines for overtaking, apparently. I think we're slightly delayed on that replay, though, because he is 2 seconds ahead of him now. I don't think we need to worry about the sponsor objectives. 19th Maloney, 17th Mick. I definitely underestimated them, actually, I think. Could push the fuel a bit. We've caught Magnussen, who is on 30% hards. He's got to stop again, surely. Yeah, they just don't attempt an overtake in that first bit, which is wild. But he'll get him here, that's for sure. He is 6 seconds behind the people he was fighting before the pit stops. But yeah, the sooner we find a solve for this confidence issue, the better. Like, I assume it applies to all of the AI drivers as well, when they end up in this DRS back and forth situation. But, Magnussen pissed now. But, when you've qualified ahead of your kind of capabilities, it doesn't really matter, because it will kill you in the race. Because you will get overtaken by the faster cars, like the RBs, seemingly, like the Aston Martin, like Norris and Russell, who qualified out of position themselves anyway. Couldn't do anything about them, they qualified out of position. But all of those cars that are just inherently faster just come straight through without any issue, and you will take the confidence boost, even though you are expecting them to come through. Maloney has the apparently wounded Ocon for company. Doesn't appear to be wounded. He's on softs though, so kind of let him do it, really. Zane, let him drag you. Mickey's gradually clawing in the Albon train. Oh, this is Ocon on Zane again. So we're giving this a right old scrap then. This is a bit of a back and forth, even though he's on a soft and we're on a medium and not really pushing. Yeah, so the other situation here is Gasly is now in front of Mick with his car issue. Mick doesn't appear to have DRS though. The one thing I'm confused about is I didn't think he was part of that group ahead. I thought that was just Albon, Bottas and Hulkenberg, but presumably he was. And I've just missed him for whatever reason. Zane does at least have a comfortable margin behind. Alright, so just engine temperatures now concerning there for that fuel. We obviously don't need fuel, but... Okay, it took a little while because Gasly caught Hulkenberg's DRS. Maloney and Ocon are still fighting back and forth. I'm not going to bother focusing on them. We actually are ahead of schedule on this. So if we can get around the outside of Hulkenberg... No, okay. Albon and Bottas have dropped these two, though, which is annoying because it means we now have to get through them. Oh, Hulkenberg is on absolutely dead hards. That's why he's dropped like a stone. He's going to get a puncture if we're not careful, actually. I think he's still at DRS, but I think the overspeed we'll still get him here. Yep. And we're close enough to Gasly to get the DRS off him. Lovely. He's actually pitted. So that's a free position for our lad. As well behind. No DRS for Gasly means Mick can go around the outside. Super. That's Maloney on Ocon. Wrong person. He's done it in turn 1, actually. I really wish the overtaking gave him more, or at least the same as being overtaken, because this would be super. I don't think there's 3, but he has one where he just laughs at the end, which is the same phrase. Mick's actually dropped Gasly. Zane's actually dropped Ocon. I've just realised Zane had wiggle room at the end of this stint. I've just realised. So if I push him to get out of DRS range, Zane's about to be lapped by Russell, who I think started behind him, which is depressing. Zane might also be lapped by Ricciardo here as well, who's only 3 seconds behind Russell. So he would be lapped by the people in the points, the last points paying position, which is depressing. Magnussen's now regained a mechanical fault, which is entirely irrelevant because he's miles off. Just remember that Mick only needs to do 1 less lap as well, so we have got 1 more lap's worth of wiggle room here. How is... Oh, it's the lapping. The lapping situation has pushed Ocon back into range. Yeah, it was worth a try. Ocon's got through and then gapped Maloney, but then he's been pushed back in by Ricciardo lapping him, actually. Oh, Zane is going to be lapped twice. There's Max Verstappen. Well, push the field to the end then, mate. There's no point. You've got 3 laps to go. 2 laps for Mick. 3 laps for Mick as well, once he gets round. All right, so that's... I think we can safely just go for it now with both drivers.
Copy.
No, we don't.
Copy.
So I think the situation is Mick's effectively a lap behind in terms of calculations here. It's lap 57, Zane's behind the leader, so he's only got 2 more laps, but Mick's got to go round and then have 2 more laps. I mean, it's all about pride, but if Mick can get to Bottas and then overtake him and Albon, that would be great. No one in the region to overtake him. There's no one in Mick's vicinity that can lap him, which is nice. Russell's a little bit behind, and it is depressing he's got that close to lapping him, considering we were running with him at the first pit stops, pretty much. So Max Verstappen's just started his final lap. Zane's going to start his final lap as a result behind him. Mick's going to go round and then do 1 more. Mick actually isn't gaining. Oh, Mick has gained. I don't know what happened there. He was 1.4. He went backwards at some point there. Might be because of overtaking. Realistically, though, Zane's gapped Ocon here and doesn't really have a chance in hell of getting Gasly. Oh, Mick's actually fighting Bottas on the exit there. On a hard, might have to yield into the final corner. He has. So this is Mick's final lap. He has 29% spare. So Max has won by an absolute mile. Maloney has finished 17th. Deploy from here, Mick. Deploy from here. 17th is really good for Zane Maloney, though. For a car that is predicted 20th, he's finished 17th. I really need to start believing in Mick a little bit more with the predictions. If we can get one of them here, that would be great. Mick, what are you doing, though? That's not how you overtake. I think Albon on a soft has absolutely saved Bottas' skin there. Although Albon was on 33% soft, so I don't know how he's gone that quickly. Particularly out of that final corner. He's just shot off. Oh, it's a race to the line. Which Bottas wins. Russell the last to finish, technically. It's a Ferrari 2-3 though, which makes things interesting. Lando up 8 places. He finished 4th. That pace is alarming though, isn't it? Albon came up 9 places, which is ridiculous, realistically. But yeah. We're punished for over-qualifying or out-qualifying our car. It is a bit annoying. Although Bottas did manage to do a 120.5 at some point, which is a ridiculous lap for a kicks Albon to have done. Like, Albon and Bottas' fastest laps were faster than Fernando's. I mean, to be fair, so was Zane's. What on earth was wrong with Fernando's car there? Point for Daniel Ricciardo gets RB's first point, and the first point that isn't one of the big 5, shall we call them. It's really a big 4 and then Aston Martin, really, but a 15th place finish does see Mick get ahead of Kevin and Pierre just on countback as best results, which I think still keeps Kick Sauber ahead. We are still the worst of the people without points, as Williams score a 13th place finish with Albon, which I think is the same as what Sauber did, but maybe Bottas was 12th. For some reason, both Haas and Alpine have had a result that is better than 15th. Sure, okay. Still not in the DHL pit stop, which is annoying. 2.6 second stop didn't get us in the top 10 at this stage of the season. 2.5. Obviously still get the $500,000 payout, but I think we can start gambling a little bit more with that. The drivers are at least positive now, which is going to help going forward because that has boosted his attributes. Part of it is mentality from facilities that have now been built. Ogle's sad for some reason. Why? Sure. We will have the rear wing available for next race. But we won't have the front wing. So we will have the rear wing available for the next race, but we won't have the front wing because we can't manufacture it while we're also Actually, we might just be able to because the chassis manufactures on the 30th, and I believe the front wing takes 3 days to do, so we might just have 2 in time. So at least one car can have a front wing, I think. We are upgrading the factory, though, in order to get to that 3rd place. Why is my effectiveness 110% for the team hub? What affects that? I'm not quite sure why that is 1.1. I'm sure someone will have worked it out by now, but at the very least it brings Mick up a couple of places thanks to that race. Japan next in its new slot of 4th on the calendar. Don't need to engineer that in the calendar anymore. But we might be able to start having a little bit of progress as of that race, and maybe, at the very least, become the best of the no-pointers. I still think we are a significant margin off RB, and certainly a significant margin off Aston Martin, so if there are no retirements like there weren't in that race, we're in trouble. We are reliant on a chaos race, which we've not really had. I mean, Saudi Arabia had 2 red flags, but only, I think, 2 retirements? Maybe 3? A bit of a chaos race, but it wasn't really a chaos race in terms of the drivers ahead. They were mostly drivers that were still in the no-pointers at that point of time. So we could do with a proper front-running chaos situation at some point soon. But it is the last of the non-sprint races as well, so I'll see you for that next in Japan with the first of the new parts. Until then, thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this so far, do like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal. Bye now. Until then, ta-ra.